She said she came to help Africa. Ibrahim Traoré exposed her as a spy. In the busy city of Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, a country right in the heart of West Africa. Imagine sunny skies, colorful markets, and people going about their day. Into this city came a woman named Claire Dubois. She looked like she stepped out of a magazine, young, with blonde hair, maybe in her early 30s. She spoke French with an accent from France, wore nice sunglasses, and always seemed very calm and kind. Claire arrived saying she was there to help. She told everyone she was in charge of a group called Hope Forward. She said this group wanted to help girls in Burkina Faso go to school and help women stay healthy. It sounded wonderful, didn't it? Claire was very good at looking helpful. She brought flowers when she met people. She had speeches ready, talking about hope and kindness. She traveled to villages outside the big city. She took lots of pictures, especially with smiling babies and happy kids. She walked through markets, talking to the women selling fruits and crafts. She even went on TV, praising the country's leader, President Ibrahim Traoré. She said he was helping young Africans believe in their dreams. She gave away boxes of books for schools and special solar lamps that work using sunlight. This isn't about big government plans, Claire would say with a gentle smile. It's just about helping people, person to person. Everyone saw a friendly woman doing good things. But behind the warm smiles and the boxes of books, there was a secret. Claire Dubois wasn't just a charity worker. In fact, her real office wasn't even in Burkina Faso. She was mainly based in another city, Abidjan, in the nearby country of Côte d'Ivoire. While she spent her days visiting schools and markets, her nights were very different. She made secret phone calls, using special codes so no one could easily listen in. She sent quiet messages to people whose names she kept hidden. She always had a tall man with her, someone she called her media officer, but he never told anyone his name. She also carried 2 phones, one for her normal calls and a secret one she kept hidden. Sometimes, Claire would ask strange questions that didn't seem to fit with helping schools or health. "Oh, just curious," she might say. "How far away is the army base from this village?" Or, "Do soldiers change their guards often around here?" She even asked if Burkina Faso had gotten any new drones lately. Those are like small flying cameras or planes without pilots. At first, nobody thought much of it. She was polite, she spoke French well, and she gave things away for free. People like getting free things. But deep down, some people started to feel a little weird. Something didn't quite add up. In one small village, an older woman quietly told her community leader, "I don't think she's really here to help us like she says. I think she's looking for something else." That woman was right. The security people in Burkina Faso, the country's intelligence team, had noticed Claire Dubois too. They were smart and watchful. They knew the name of her charity, Hope Forward, was linked to a secret watching program paid for by groups far away, maybe in America or Europe. They saw that her emails were bouncing through computers in France, using secret code names like Phase Orange and Taxone. President Traoré knew about Claire. His team told him what they suspected. But the president was clever. He said, let her keep working, let her think she is succeeding. The more she thinks she is winning, the more she will show us her real plan. So Claire kept smiling her big smile. She kept giving speeches about helping people. She kept taking pictures. And she had absolutely no idea that the government was watching her every move, waiting patiently. She thought she was fooling everyone, but she was the one walking into a trap. In just 3 weeks, Claire Dubois seemed to be everywhere in Burkina Faso. She met with important government people, she spoke on the radio, she even posed for a picture with schoolgirls holding a sign that read, "Africa first, women always." But while she smiled for the cameras, her secret job was moving fast. She had visited 9 different villages in only 7 days, and guess what? Every single one of those villages was close to important places for the country's safety. Places where soldiers trained, where fuel was stored, or where drones were watched. She told people she was just checking on how her charity projects were doing. But that wasn't the real reason. What Claire was really doing was making a secret map. One night, back in her hotel room in the city, she opened her laptop. Carefully, she started marking red circles on a map of Burkina Faso. These circles weren't marking schools or clinics. No, they marked army roads, places where soldiers guarded the borders, and paths where drones flew. She saved the file with a secret name, BF Field Access-V2, BF for Burkina Faso. That same night, feeling proud of her secret work, she attached this secret map to an email. She used her secret phone and special codes to send it. The email address wasn't someone at her charity, it was a hidden contact she called Melvin. And the computer system that received the email wasn't in France or America. It was traced to an office in Abidjan, the city where she was really based. An office linked to NATO, a group of Western countries that work together on military things. She pressed send. She probably smiled, thinking she was so clever in secret. But here's the twist. Claire didn't know that the Burkina Faso intelligence team had already figured out how to copy everything on her laptop. They saw every single word she typed, every file she opened, in real time. The moment she hit send on that secret map email, a copy popped up on President Traoré's own secure computer. The president looked closely at the map with the red circles. He looked at the code names. He saw the proof. He picked up his phone and gave a simple order. Let her keep going. She just proved everything we thought was true. The trap was ready to be sprung. Very next morning, Claire held a breakfast meeting with reporters from other countries. She wore a white dress, looking pure and helpful. She told the reporters that Burkina Faso was a country full of hope. But then, a local reporter asked a smart question. Why does your charity only seem to work in areas where the military is very active? Claire laughed, but it sounded a little shaky. Oh, that's just a coincidence, she said quickly. We just go where help is most needed. But it wasn't a coincidence. And that same day, the president's security team found something else. Hidden inside a fake lipstick tube in Claire's bag was a tiny USB drive, like a small computer memory stick. And on that drive? Secret satellite pictures, maps of drone flight paths, and photos of government vehicles moving around. The time for pretending was almost over. President Traoré could have had Claire arrested quietly right then. But he didn't want this to be a secret. He wanted the world to see what was happening. So he decided to set the final part of the trap. He sent Claire Dubois a fancy, official invitation. It asked her to be a special guest speaker at a big meeting. The National Conference on African Sovereignty, a meeting all about African countries being independent and in charge of themselves. Claire was thrilled. She felt important and successful. She accepted the invitation right away, feeling confident. She had no idea she was about to walk onto a stage where her secrets would be shown to everyone. The day of the conference arrived. It was a huge event. Big flags hung from the ceiling, bright lights flashed from cameras, and a long red carpet led up the steps of the building. Inside, hundreds of people were waiting, government ministers, students, visitors from other countries, and many, many reporters. And right there, in a special seat near the front, sat Claire Dubois. She wore a beautiful dress made with African fabric. She smiled widely at everyone she saw. She waved like she was a famous movie star. Above the stage, a big banner read, "African Sovereignty, Our Voice, Our Future." Claire was scheduled to speak near the end, on a topic called, "How Foreign Partnerships Empower Africa." She had written her speech carefully. Working together, she planned to say, is built on love, truth, and trust. She practiced her lines backstage, feeling proud. She still didn't know that the very president she had praised was about to use her own words against her. Then, without a big announcement, President Ibrahim Traoré walked into the hall. He came in quietly while someone else was talking. He didn't go to the stage. He just sat down in the third row and watched Claire. She saw him arrive and gave him another confident smile. Finally, it was Claire's turn. Her name was called. She walked onto the stage, head held high, ready to give her speech about trust and partnership. "Burkina Faso is a shining light," she began, her voice clear. "I have walked its villages, spoken to its women, seen its hope." The audience clapped politely. She continued, "We, the friends from around the world, are not here to tell you what to do. We are here to help. We are your friends." And then, President Traoré stood up. Everyone in the room turned to look. The person running the meeting stepped back. President Traoré walked slowly towards the stage. He looked directly at Claire. "Madame Claire," he said, his voice calm but strong, cutting through the silence. "You speak beautifully about trust. Would you trust us enough to answer just a few questions? Right here, right now." Claire froze. Her smile vanished. Of course," she stammered, trying to make it seem like a normal request. But the room was dead quiet. The clapping had stopped. All the cameras zoomed in close on her face. And then, on the huge screen behind her, a file popped up. It was labeled, "BF Field Access -V2. PDF. Claire turned to look. Her eyes went wide with shock. It was her secret map. The map with the red circles marking military sites. Suddenly, this conference wasn't about celebrating friendship anymore. It was about revealing the truth. The show was about to begin, and Claire Dubois was the unwilling star. The bright screen behind Claire showed her secret map for everyone to see. The red circles, the marked locations, the code names. She blinked fast, trying to understand. She swallowed hard. The friendly smile was completely gone, replaced by pure panic. This wasn't just some random picture. It was the exact secret military map she had emailed just 2 nights before from her hotel room, sent to that hidden server in Abidjan. President Traoré stood calmly before her. "Claire," he asked again, his voice still quiet but firm, "do you recognize this map?" She hesitated, looking trapped. I'm not sure," she mumbled. "Where did this come from?" President Traoré didn't argue. Instead, he simply nodded, and another document flashed onto the screen behind her. This time, it was an email. Sender, claire.dubois@hopeforward.org. Subject, Phase Orange Tracking Com Vehicles. Civilian-friendly zones, body, BF West routes exposed. Minimal resistance from volunteers. Use school visits for visual confirmation. Mission continues. It was her own email. Her own secret words, right there for the whole world to read. Gasps rippled through the crowd. People leaned forward, shocked. Even the visitors from other countries looked stunned. From the back of the room, a local journalist jumped up and shouted, "She was a spy. She was spying on our army. She used our women and children to hide what she was doing." Claire's hands started to tremble uncontrollably. "No, this isn't what it looks like," she cried out, her voice breaking. "I was just sending information to get more donations. For fundraising." "Fundraising?" President Traoré repeated softly. He turned to face the audience. "We knew. We watched. We made copies of everything on her devices, every file, every secret message. We tracked her instructions coming from Abidjan, from an office linked to NATO, an office called the, quote, Cultural Research Desk." He paused, letting his words sink in. Then he looked back towards Claire, who was now openly crying, tears streaming down her face. "She told us she came to help our women," the president said, his voice filled with sadness and anger. "But she really came to find our weaknesses, to hurt our country's safety. And the worst part? She did it while smiling at our children, while holding their hands for photos." The truth hit Claire like a physical blow. It wasn't just the emails and the map. It was the hundreds of pairs of eyes staring at her, watching her lies crumble around her on the big stage. One woman in the audience stood up, her voice shaking with anger. "You used us. You lied to all of us." Another woman nearby whispered, her voice heartbroken. "She took pictures with my daughter. I trusted her." Claire dropped the microphone she was holding. It clattered on the stage floor. She looked desperately at President Traoré. "Please," she begged, "can we talk somewhere else? In private? Not like this." But President Traoré didn't answer her plea. He simply stepped to the side. Two calm-looking officers, not in uniform, walked quietly onto the stage. They didn't grab her or push her. They just stood beside her, waiting. The cameras zoomed in even closer on Claire's tear-streaked face. President Traoré looked out at the silent, shocked crowd. "They send people with friendly faces now," he said clearly. "They send people with kind eyes, clean hands, and clever fake charities. But underneath the disguise, it's the same old plan. To weaken us, to control us." Claire Dubois was gently guided off the stage by the officers, down the stairs, and out of the hall. The audience watched in stunned silence. Near the front, a young girl started to cry. Not because she felt sorry for Claire, but because she had believed her lies. "She pretended she was one of us," the girl whispered to her friend. "But she wasn't. And now everyone knows." By the next morning, videos of Claire's exposure were everywhere. The clip of her on stage, the map, the email, her tears, it spread like wildfire across Africa and the world. Twitter, WhatsApp, TikTok, news channels like Al Jazeera and the BBC, everyone was talking about it. The headline was clear: President Traoré exposes foreign spy pretending to be charity CEO. Some people tried to defend Claire. A newspaper in France called it all a big misunderstanding. A group in the US claimed she was just doing research. But nobody could explain away her secret emails. Nobody could explain the military map. And nobody could explain the fake lipstick tube filled with secret photos of Burkina Faso's army sites. That afternoon, a special secure phone rang in the president's office. It was the president of the neighboring country, Côte d'Ivoire, where Claire's secret messages were traced back to. He asked President Traoré to handle the situation quietly, using diplomacy, polite talk between countries. President Traoré's answer was calm, but firm. "This woman sent secret military information from your capital city to people working against us in Paris and Washington," he said. "She stood in our villages and told lies. You can deal with your guests however you like, but here in Burkina Faso we deal with spies and traitors with justice." There was silence on the phone line. Then the other president suggested maybe they needed to rethink cooperation between their countries. President Traoré simply replied, "If, quote, cooperation means we have to accept betrayal, then Burkina Faso chooses to stand strong alone." He hung up the phone. Soon after, the French ambassador asked for a private meeting to find a quiet solution. President Traoré said no. Instead, he went to the National Press Center and gave a short, powerful speech. "They ask us to forget what happened," he told the reporters. "They ask us to forgive. But they never ask themselves how we feel when their secret agents sit in our homes, shake our hands, and then send our secrets across the ocean." In the audience were people from the villages Claire had visited, mothers, teachers, even some of the children she had taken photos with. One woman stood up and said, "Mr. President, thank you. Thank you for protecting our trust." That night, people all across Africa weren't just talking about the spy Claire. They were talking about how the mask was pulled off. Not with violence, but with calm, undeniable truth. And Claire? She sat alone in a secure government building near Ouagadougou. No cameras, no reporters, just quiet walls and the heavy weight of the lies she had told. The trap she thought she was setting for others had closed tightly around her. 3 days later, Claire Dubois was still silent. No apology came. No explanation could fix the damage. Outside her room, life in Burkina Faso was moving forward. Not forgetting but learning and growing stronger. At the University of Ouagadougou, students held their own event. They called it, "They used to send soldiers, now they send smiles." They displayed paintings and gave speeches about staying alert. President Traoré made a surprise visit to the student event. He stood before the young crowd and spoke simply and directly. "They used to come with guns," he said. "Now they come with cameras and fake charities. They used to wear army uniforms, now they hide behind good causes. But listen closely. Whether they wear fancy suits or headscarves, whether they speak French or English, if they come here to try and break our country, they will leave exposed. The students jumped to their feet, clapping and cheering loudly. But President Traoré had one more thing to say. He pointed to the projector screen behind him. A single sentence appeared in big, bold letters. The next one they send will be received the same way, calmly watched and unforgiven. That powerful line spread across the continent in hours. Young people made stickers with it. Artists painted it on walls. It became a message: Africa is watching. Even some reporters in Western countries started asking their own governments harder questions. Why do our agents keep getting caught in places where we claim we are only trying to help? The story of Claire Dubois became more than just a spy story. It became a symbol of how African nations are standing up, refusing to be tricked, and demanding respect. It showed that Burkina Faso under President Ibrahim Traoré would not accept lies dressed up as friendship. What happened to Claire? Eventually, she was released and sent away. But she was banned for life from ever returning to Burkina Faso or its neighboring allied countries. Her name isn't remembered for the charity she pretended to run. It's remembered for that moment on stage, caught, exposed, and brought down by the simple, powerful truth. A reminder that true help comes with honesty, not with secrets and lies. Thanks for watching. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.